Australia's social media ban for under-16s officially kicked in yesterday, instantly changing the online sphere for millions of Australian young people. It is one of the toughest digital safety moves in the world, and it is already sparking big reactions. Matilda Green is host of the lobby group Before 16's One Young Mind podcast, and she has been in Australia as the change rolls out, and she is with us this morning. Good morning to you, Matilda. I know you've been out and about talking to people, particularly young people. What are they telling you about how they feel about this change?
Well, it's actually been a really fascinating couple of days. So we went out and spoke to a bunch of groups the day before the legislation came in, and also yesterday, the day of the legislation. And interestingly enough, the day before, kids were getting kind of blocked left, right and centre. There felt like there was quite a panicky feel. Kids were sort of freaking out a bit. They were calling their friends, messaging their friends. And then yesterday when we went out to talk to groups, I mean, granted, this is a small sample size. We probably spoke to about 15 over the 2 days. When we went out yesterday, hardly any kids were being affected. There were 13, 14-year-olds that we spoke to that hadn't had anything pop up at all. And it was only 1 or 2 friends in their groups that had actually been blocked from any apps. So there didn't seem to be a lot of consistency around how it was being done or what kids were being affected, which is interesting because the platforms definitely know who is a teenager and who isn't.
Do they though? Because I guess there's plenty of ways for young people to get around it. Was anyone actively trying to circumvent those checks that you spoke to?
Yeah, definitely. They, some of them had backup accounts. There were definitely ways that they were getting around it, but the platforms have a lot of data on us. They know instantly whether someone is a teenager, and they have, in some cases, a couple of years of data on some of these kids. So they know what age people are. So they're saying they're on board, but I'm wondering, are they really? Because it did feel a little bit messy and not very streamlined. And I mean, we interviewed Jonathan Haidt, the author of The Anxious Generation, who did mention that he thought when it would roll out that these platforms wouldn't make it simple. And they do, it's worth noting, I think, that they do roll out new features and new updates all the time. So they are pretty used to doing that. But for some reason, this one doesn't feel as seamless as usual.
I guess we probably need a test case and some whopping great fines to be handed out, and then maybe things will change. But when you talk about the teens circumventing the checks, is that a concern to you that they may well just get driven underground onto different social media sites that aren't on the banned list, and we know even less about what they're up to online?
Yeah, it is a concern, definitely. In a perfect world, it would be the same for every kid, that they would all be taken off at the same time so that they wouldn't have that sort of FOMO that is a real issue at the moment for parents especially. I think it's also about future generations, and I think one of the young girls mentioned that actually, and she said, I think it will get easier for every child who then comes into the threshold where they're going to be getting into social media and then obviously banned. So I guess it's important to look at it that way, but it is starting to take effect, and there is a really interesting kind of juxtaposition because some of the kids honestly couldn't care less. Some of them thought, oh well, I'll be fine without it, doesn't matter. Some were really freaking out, and then on the Harbour Bridge, there's a sign saying "Let kids be kids." So there's a feeling of some people, parents of young kids especially, but a lot of parents are really excited. Some of the kids are freaking out, and like I said, some couldn't care less.
Are you hoping, because I think you, like me, your kids are quite young, are you hoping that by the time they're tween ages, that this is just not a thing, that this promotes a generational shift?
Very much so. That's exactly what I'm hoping. I mean, I saw a video yesterday actually about a reporter going out to interview people when the drinking and driving laws came in, and they asked, how do you feel about these laws? And people said, it's government overreach. This is becoming a nanny state. And if we look back now and think, imagine saying that drinking and driving laws are a nanny state or, government overreach. So I hope that we'll look back on this time exactly the same way that we look back on that video and think, I can't even believe we were kicking up such a fuss, because it was so obvious how much harm was being caused. So that's my hope for the future. And yes, I hope it is sorted by the time that our kids are tweens. That would be great.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, but I guess we have to see it actually be implemented here first. Thank you so much for your time this morning. That is Matilda Green. She is the host of the Before 16 podcast, One Young Mind.